Many people ask me how I avoided getting a social benefits block after I've been laid off in Germany. So here's a video on that. Real quick on the timeline for you to understand when my layoff took place. It was November 2024, and the last round of terminations was in April 2025. So it took a while. And it took place in Berlin in the tech scene, EdTech company, and around 300 people were let go. Only 12 people were terminated. The rest of them signed mutual agreements. So it's way more than 10% of the company. If you're not a German speaker, so just for you to understand, go back to this slide whenever you need, because I'm going to be jumping from German terms to English terms. This is the mutual agreement. This is actually the termination notice that you don't sign because it's not an agreement. Abwicklungsvereinbarung, it's a winding up agreement after you've been laid off. What most employers do, they try to make you the winding up agreement, which protects the company, because in this winding up agreement, you mostly agree that you will not trash your employer after the termination. You will not go to court, so you will not sue me. And for that, you get a slightly higher settlement. The Federal Employment Agency, it's the unemployment benefits. If you're not blocked, it's 60% of your average salary from the last 12 months. This is what we're talking about here. This is the block of unemployment benefits, and it happens when Agentur für Arbeit decides that you in any way contributed to your dismissal. For you to understand what we're going to talk about here, a little bit about the Sperrzeit, so you understand the dynamics behind it. The first option, how to avoid it, would be not sign anything at all. The second option would be don't take a settlement above the norm. I've seen cases where that happens. And the third, very interesting one as well, it goes into detail how you make the Aufhebungsvertrag bulletproof. And then we're going to talk about other dynamics, other things, that there are no guarantees, that the timing matters, and some more resources that I got. So for you to understand what it is you're facing when you sign anything at all. So you sign a mutual agreement and you don't have a next job lined up, and the market is weird right now in Germany. So you might be thinking, okay, well, it's not bad to receive 60% of the salary. At least, it will have the minimum costs of your life covered. What happens most of the time when you get this block, if your caseworker sees that you're in any way contributed to your dismissal, most of the times it's a 3 months block. You will get 9 months instead of 12 months. Most of the people get it in the beginning. So in the beginning, those 3 months, you are not covered. But then the 9 months, you still get them. And health insurance is a very interesting part here, because Agentur für Arbeit will cover your contributions from day one of the block, but only if you receive no Abfindung. So if you have received an Abfindung, you pay your own health insurance until ALG1 payments start. And this can be quite pricey. So if you get sick, you get no sick pay entitlement, and also obviously no pension contribution during the time that you've been blocked. So think about it. When you are signing a mutual agreement, you need to make sure that the Abfindung that they're offering you, that it potentially covers your pension, or most importantly, that it covers your health insurance. So how to avoid this? Option number 1, guys, just don't sign anything. If you have the feeling that what your company is selling you is actually just a termination, then just don't sign anything. The most certain way to avoid this block is just, even when you've gotten a termination, don't even sign the winding up agreement. Whether you sue or you don't sue, it's your thing. But any signature from your side can be interpreted as you cooperating with your own dismissal. There is a trap that I see a lot, that people find winding up agreements after they've been terminated, which I understand. People are tired. People just want to get it over with and get a higher settlement. And can you imagine, after you've stayed there and you didn't sign a mutual agreement and you stayed at the company longer in a very, very complicated dynamics because teams are storming, nothing is clear, it's a very tough time. And then after this, you get a termination, so you should be safe. Like, you've got the termination, you should start receiving unemployment benefits from day one of your unemployment. And then you don't, because you signed a winding up agreement for, 3K higher of a settlement. This is just sad. So basically, any signature from your side is a risk. Second option. This is a tricky one. If you take a settlement above the norm, you also might get a block. So, for example, the norm is 0.5 factor gross monthly salaries per year of employment, right? And if you take something higher of a norm, then it will signal to the Agentur für Arbeit that you gained personal independent advantage. And it's harder then for you to say that the termination wasn't self-caused. Also, you need to understand settlement is not a legal right. So it's negotiation-based, and above-norm settlements trigger more questions of Agentur für Arbeit. So you're also on the safest side if you don't even take the settlement, basically, which is sad. But a normal settlement, it's okay, take it. But if you take something which is higher than that, it might also trigger a block. And the tough one, because making the mutual agreement bulletproof so you don't get a block, it is honestly, I think, HR's job. But we all know that after you've left the company, you're not longer their problem. Please proactively, if you have the works council, work with them, try and make sure that whatever mutual agreement they make you sign, that it's bulletproof, What is that exactly? So your company must clearly and specifically announce an upcoming redundancy. That's important. So some threats that you have one-on-one with HR and your manager, they don't count. So the company must send a letter saying, hey, we're laying off 20% of our workforce because we're going broke. That's important. The termination would have been for operational reasons and not misconduct. This is important. So if you are on a developmental plan or something, or you've had a misconduct, or for whatever reasons you're not being terminated aus betriebsbedingten Gründen, I think it's called in German, like operational reasons, this is really tricky then. So a friend of mine got in a really bad fight with her manager, and she was let go, and obviously they said it's because of her performance, so she's gotten a block 3 months. And yes, the settlement must stay within the 0.5 months per year, so the norm settlement. And it must be explicitly documented in a contract itself, not verbally promised. Generally, anything verbally promised by HR, you need it in emails, and then you also need it in signed contracts. The end date of your mutual agreement must be the same or be after your notice period, not earlier. And that's important because if you go earlier than your notice period, it signals something to the Agentur für Arbeit. And also, don't forget that there are programs where you use your settlement for prolonged tenure. And in my experience, it has no influence on your being blocked or not, in my experience. But, feel free to use the comments if I'm wrong. So now, real talk. Even if you have a bulletproof contract, it is no guarantee. It is highly, highly dependable on who is processing your case. In my personal experience from my company, some people got the block. They objected. And then they received the full 12 months. Some objected and still got the 3 months block. So nobody can ultimately give you a 100% guarantee, not even a lawyer. So if you get a block and everybody else who also signed mutual agreements didn't, please do object. Try it. If you have the law insurance, like labor law insurance in Germany, use it. You only have 1 month time to actually object. So go for it. Try it for sure. And one thing before we move on, it's a very human thing. Sometimes if you take a higher settlement, you need to understand that, okay, do the math and make sure that the math is mathing. So if you take a higher settlement and your salary was, I don't know, 5 brutto, and then make your calculations. Also remember, this is a brutto amount. So you will get most likely like half of it. And then in the next year, using the 5/5 Regelung, like fifth Regelung, using this one next year when you declare your income, you might get some of it back. You most likely will. You will most likely need somebody to do that for you if you're not a professional, like a tax advisor. If you really are tired of being there and you're looking forward to take some time and find yourself again, and you don't have a job lined up, just make sure that you have the cash to bridge those 3 months and then sign it and go. I'm gonna make another video on how people who have been already mentally strong, how they just signed whatever was put in front of them. Happens too. It's a highly sensitive time. And yes, you should register as Arbeitssuchend, job seeker, as soon as possible or up to 3 months before your last day. The earlier, the better. And inform Agentur für Arbeit within 3 days of signing any agreement. And if you miss it, you might get an additional 1 week block on top of everything else. You can register Arbeitslos in person or online. I did it online. And honestly, when the company called me first, I was not that aware about everything that I'm telling you right now. So I went to Agentur für Arbeit, I registered, and then I said, I am being fired, something's happening. Until I spoke to lawyers, and then they said, yeah, the fact that they want you to sign anything doesn't mean that you have to. So basically, you just stay employed as long as they send you a termination notice. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I started bugging Agentur für Arbeit, even though nothing has happened yet. But for them, I think because I've been so annoying with me messaging them, telling what's up, I think it also helped my caseworker saying like, hey, it's fine. And there was no questions whatsoever. He never really bugged me about updating him on searching for a job, or he was never annoying this way. And when I decided to go solo, when I decided to go freelance and be a founder, it was also not a problem at all, And if you would like a consultation on any of this, also how to go freelance, go ahead, reach out to me. And I am offering consultations on this because this is highly, highly personal decisions that you're making there, and having somebody who is not as invested emotionally in it, it's really nice. But I'm not a lawyer, so if you get a consultation with me, we'll figure all of this out. I'm going to make another video on how to do this if you have a labor insurance in Germany and how to do it when you don't. And yeah, so that's a legal disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer, just sharing my own and my friends' experiences. I'm going to drop links here. You can book a consultation with me about this. I have a layoff guide and a calculator. A calculator is a fun MVP, so it's literally for you to do the math. Watch my other videos on layoffs in Germany and do your own math. So really don't just trust whatever HR is putting in front of you. It's not because they're wicked. They're just doing their jobs, but also because they make mistakes. Okay, you need to make sure that you don't sign anything that it's not in your favor. Yeah, so the math example, something that I literally use. I organized it in phases, and then I just did the math and I understood, okay, worst case, best case scenario, brutto, netto, and I made a decision that made the most sense for me. Yeah. Okay, watch my other videos and thank you for watching.